Aloha, I'm David Bissell, President and CEO of Kaua'i Island Utility Cooperative here on the Hawaiian island of Kaua'i. And I'm pleased to be able to discuss with you today our energy transition from being almost entirely fueled by oil to approaching 70% renewable-based generation at the end of 2021. KIUC, as we're known as, is a small integrated utility that serves all the energy needs of our 70,000 residents and 30,000 daily visitors here on our island. We were formed as a cooperative in 2002, and we have 35,000 members. As a cooperative, we are not for profit, and we are governed by a 9-member elected board of directors who help set our strategic direction. In the state of Hawaii, we have a renewable energy mandate that was passed by our legislators back in June of 2015. And that started off with a 30% goal by 2020, a 40% goal by 2030, 70% by 2040, and 100% renewable by 2045. This energy mandate was one of the first passed in the country and really in the world that called for 100% renewable energy generation. KIUC is proud that we have been able to reach almost 70% renewable by the end of 2021. So we are well on our way to meeting a 70% 2040 goal more than a decade early, really almost 2 decades early. Now I'm going to discuss several of our projects that we have done to help progress our journey on renewable energy. The first one completed was our Kaua'i solar project in 2014, which was a 12 megawatt fixed axis, fixed tilt photovoltaic system on the south shore of our island on former sugar plantation land. This was followed shortly later by a similar size project on the north shore of Kauai in Anahola in 2015. Both these projects were owned, constructed, and operated by KIUC. Shortly after the completion of those 2 projects, the green energy biomass plant came online in 2016. This closed loop biomass project at 6.7 megawatts serves about 12% of our island's energy needs. And as a closed loop project, it uses crops that are grown, primarily trees, that are grown, harvested, and then used in the facility to create energy. When it's fully operating, this project is about 12% of our island's energy. In 2017, Tesla, in partnership with KIUC, built a 13 megawatt, 52 megawatt hour battery storage project, which was the first in the world to take a large amount of energy from a photovoltaic system and store it in a battery where the sun generated energy can be used later on at night to serve a grid. This was followed in 2018 by a larger 20 megawatt, 100 megawatt hour storage facility done in Kaua'i by AES Corporation. This project, when it came online, was the biggest storage and PV system anywhere in the world. This project also was our first that used DC coupled systems where the DC generated power from a PV panel goes directly into a battery without losing energy in the conversion to AC. So this was an innovative project, and this project is a single axis tracking where the direction of the solar panels can follow the sun during the day, making it more efficient. This year, we brought online the AES PMRF 14 megawatt, 70 megawatt hour facility on the Pacific Missile Range on the far west side of our island. The innovative nature of this project is that it can be islanded, which means the energy produced and stored on batteries from this facility can be applied to the military base in the event of a grid outage. We can disconnect the system from our grid and use all the energy to meet the needs of the base. This helps from our security side of the base and enables it to have reliable energy sources when they're doing their operations and testing. This map shows renewable generation throughout our island. And you can see we range from having a hydro on the far north shore all the way over to the PMRF facility that I discussed at the far west side of our island. And we're also developing our West Kaua'i energy project there, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. Between those projects, we have numerous solar facilities, hydro facilities located all over the island, which just shows to meet our renewable goals, all the island's resources really need to be brought into play. This chart shows graphically our progressions from a little under 8% renewable in 2020 to almost 70% at the end of 2020. I'm sorry, we were 8% renewable in 2010 to almost 67% renewable in 2020. In 2010, all of our renewable generation came from hydropower. You can see in 2016, the green bar is the biomass plant coming online. And at that point, we reached almost 42% as we had the two solar facilities that I discussed along with it. And now we've reached 67% as the two AES solar projects came online, the solar and storage projects came online. Overall, looking at our 2020 fuel mix, you can see we've transitioned to 42% solar, 11% biomass, and about 14% hydro, leaving 33% still fueled by oil. How have the renewables and our transformation impacted rates? Well, they've had downward pressure on our rates. As you can see, in 2011, we reached almost 50 cents a kilowatt hour in the face of high oil pricing, to today's rates that are around 34 or 35 cents a kilowatt hour as our renewable generation has increased. We've been able to take advantage not just of having more renewables, but having lower priced renewables, as the cost of photovoltaic generation in particular has dropped very far since we started about 6 or 8 years ago. Today, we can produce PV-based energy, even with storage, that is about half the price of what it was in 2016. So an amazing and really radical reduction of energy pricing from solar has taken place in a pretty short period of time. What this means to our membership is, even in the face of volatile oil pricing, with only 30% of our energy coming from oil, our rates are able to stay stable. And this is very important to the families and businesses on the island, as it enables them to plan and be able to count on what their energy costs are going to be, instead of having it move from very high to relatively low based on the movements of oil. Our transition has not been without challenges, and one of our greatest accomplishments is also a huge challenge for our island. We now, beginning last year, are hitting 100% renewable sourced energy during most sunny days. This means when the sun's shining for 3 to 6 hours on a daily basis, we're running at 100% renewable based energy without using any oil. That's very good, but that means that we can't take on any more solar during that period. It has to be stored somewhere. And the period of storage needed has gotten outside of the affordable cost range of lithium ion batteries that we've used to date, which is about 4 to 5 hours of storage, maybe 6 that you can do economically. Unfortunately, we need now to be able to store all the output from the storage facility, and we need to be able to store that and use it at nighttime when the sun is not available and we still are using a considerable amount of fossil fuel. What do we need to do that? Well, we now need long duration storage to be able to progress further from the 70% towards 100% renewable. And we also need it for stability when the sun isn't shining, when it's a rainy period on the island, and we need to count more on other sources than photovoltaics. This brings up our West Kaua'i Energy Project, which is an innovative pump storage hydro project that uses pumping of solar-based generation. There'll be a large solar field at the base of the project that'll run pumps and push it uphill between reservoirs. There'll be 3 reservoirs, one at a low elevation, one at a medium elevation, and one at a high elevation that stores water that is pumped up during the day when the sun is shining, holds it until we need it at nighttime or when there's a period of prolonged rain, and releases it back downhill to generate energy. This project will routinely be able to hold 12 hours or more of output of the solar field. And in an emergency situation, we would be able to produce a day or more of energy from water stored in the system. Overall, this project will be about 25% of our island's energy needs, and it will reduce our fossil fuel oil by about 8 million gallons a year. When this project comes online, Kaua'i will be over 80% renewable. One of the nice things about this project is what we really are doing is not bringing in new resources and new facilities on that part of the island, but we're using legacy irrigation infrastructure from the plantation days when sugarcane was being utilized extensively on that part of the island. So what we are doing is we renovate the facilities, we put the reservoirs back into full productive use, and we'll also bring investment onto Native Hawaiian lands, Department of Hawaiian Homelands, in the terms of rehabilitated reservoirs, increased road access, and electrical service that allow Native Hawaiians to get back on the land and farm as well. So it's an exciting project. It's innovative. It'll be the first project done anywhere in the world that ties photovoltaic to pump storage hydro. But we are confident with our island's history of innovation on renewable energy projects that this project will be a success and will help us move well on our goal towards 100%. Thank you so much for our time, and thank you for the ability to be able to share our progress here on Kaua'i. Mahalo and have a great day.